Yeah, not my best fade. Like a bad hairstylist. Today we're going to talk about the Wisconsin coaching Mount Rushmore. Recently did a piece for Bucky's Fifth Quarter where I gave you all my choices for those four cherished spots, and then I added several honorable mentions. And it's gotten some pretty robust discussion. I think this is one of those where it's a little bit tricky on some of the fringe ones, although I have some pretty strong thoughts on who absolutely 100% deserves to be there. I don't think it's going to be a major spoiler on one of those at least. But anyway, Wisconsin Badger Mount Rushmore, Badger coaching. Let's just get it out of the way. We're going to go with Barry Alvarez on one of those four spots. That's not just because I'm Scary Alvarez. It's because this gentleman inherited a football program that was in the absolute basement that it could possibly have been when he was hired in 1990. 6 wins under Don Morton in 3 seasons. I believe there were 2 Big Ten wins total in 3 years. Just an absolute debacle of a program. Morton came in to try and run the Veer in '87 and ran his football program directly off a cliff, recruiting 230-pound offensive linemen and guys who ran, who were about 5'6" to play quarterback. Not great. So the times were tough when Alvarez was hired. Defensive coordinator over at Notre Dame, had a national title in 1989. And as most of you who are listening to this famously know, he famously said, "You better get your tickets now because pretty soon you're not going to be able to." Just absolute baller material. So after a 1-10 and then a couple of 5-6 seasons, as he was doing a real rebuild, not a fickle from Chris rebuild, although that is a rebuild. This was a down to the studs of the house kind of rebuild. Alvarez in 1993 won a Rose Bowl, Big Ten title, finished number 6 in the country, 10-1-1. Only loss was to Minnesota. And things are off and running as far as Wisconsin being a college football power again. Not an elite top of the rung national title kind of power, but a team that is good almost every year, and some years a lot better than good. And as you know, Barry went on to win back-to-back Rose Bowls in 98, 99. Just fantastic stuff. Only Big Ten coach or any Pac-10 coach, anyone, no one has ever won 2 consecutive Rose Bowls from any school until Barry Alvarez did. And there's been some backsliding a little bit in the football program here recently as we try and get our sea legs under the Fickle administration. But Wisconsin football is known as a really good freaking football program, and that's Barry Alvarez. And in 2005, he retired, handed over to Bert Bielema, and took over as AD and steered the programs into tremendous success. Not just the football program, but basketball. Hockey had some mixed results, but did win a national title under Alvarez's watch. And many of the non-revenue sports have also been incredible. We'll get into some of those in a minute. But anyway, Barry Alvarez, not shocking. Bo Ryan never quite ascended to the ultimate peak, which would have been a victory over Duke in 2015 in the national title game. He had some officials that were working against him after Coach K put his arm around them heading to halftime. But it cannot be argued that coming off the heels of a relatively successful program under Dick Bennett, there was a little bit of a backslide, and then Bo Ryan, hired him from UW Milwaukee, had previously been incredibly successful at Platteville, winning national titles all over the place. Ryan came in and never finished in his 14 years, never finished below 4th place in the Big Ten. That's unbelievable. That is unbelievable work. Of course, everyone knows his back-to-back Final Fours, 2014 and 2015. The incredible win in the Final Four over 38-0 Kentucky. Numerous Player of the Year type candidates, All-Americans, Kaminsky, Decker. And I wouldn't say he went out on top, but, he wanted his guy Greg Gard in, and he retired there in the December of 2015, and that was that for Bo Ryan. Just He did things at Wisconsin that people didn't think could be done at Wisconsin. Okay, that's a big deal. Never got the title, but came as close as anyone has since Bud Foster in 1941. And Bud Foster, while we're on the subject, he won 3 Big Ten titles there, national title in 41. He is in my honorable mentions on my article. Just an absolute stud of a coach. Different era, clearly. But if you were going to say, hey, put Bud Foster up there on that Mount Rushmore, you can make an argument, especially if you value national titles. And he won the only one that the Wisconsin basketball program has ever had. And now we're going to turn to hockey and a couple of people who are very close. Badger Bob Johnson, I'm going to start with. Absolute legend, not only of Wisconsin hockey, but in the U.S. hockey annals. One of the most widely respected and successful coaches in United States hockey history. Won 3 national titles in his 8 seasons with Wisconsin. That's 38% of the time he wins a national title. The Badgers. This is the modern era. Unbelievable stuff. 73, 77, 81. And then left, well, he left actually in 82 after coming in second, losing to North Dakota that year to get second place in the nation, won the runner-up, and hopped over to Calgary Flames, was off and running. Came in second in the Stanley Cup playoffs that year and did, in 1991, win a Stanley Cup with the Pittsburgh Penguins. So it's not, what he did after he left Wisconsin is not relevant necessarily to him being on this particular mount, but it's just indicative of how incredible Johnson was. So many talented players, All-Americans, NHL guys. He built the program. He just built it and handed it off to Jeff Sauer. And Sauer, by the way, in my article was one of my 5 honorable mentions. Jeff Sauer, in his time at Wisconsin, won 2 national titles, kind of bookended his career. Had a little bit of a slide at the end, but Sauer was he was an NHL machine too with guys. So Jeff Sauer, another fantastic name to know there for the Badgers. Rest in peace to both he and Badger Bob. And finally, my 4th place on this Mount Rushmore is Bob Johnson's son, Mark Johnson. Like Jake Ferguson, a Madison Memorial High School graduate, University of Wisconsin, was there for 4 years, Miracle on Ice member, gold medal in 1980. But that's not why he's on this mount. He's on this mount because, as good as he was as a player, he has been, I would make an argument that even above Gino Auriemma, the most successful coach probably in collegiate history, at any sport, at any level. He has been a Badger coach for 20 years, has made the Final Four 15 of those 20 years. And it's not counting this year where his team sits number 1 at the holiday break. Okay. 7 or 8 national titles. One most recently in 2013, or pardon me, 2023, just a couple seasons ago, and lost in the championship last year to Ohio State. Those two are going to probably battle it out again this year for it. Unbelievable. It leads college hockey, women's college hockey, in national titles, and men's too, by a wide margin over anyone else. He's done it all himself. He is the Wisconsin women's hockey program. It is a symbol of excellence, high head and shoulders above any success that this university has had in any other sport. And yes, you can make your arguments. It's harder to do in other sports. We can have that discussion another day. But I'm telling you, Mark Johnson, just unbelievable. The talent that he recruits, develops, has just been breathtaking. And of course, his players have gone on to much success for the U.S. national team, Canada's national team. Just great stuff. So Mark Johnson, Bob Johnson's son, the Johnsons, Johnson & Johnson, half of the spots on my Mount Rushmore. Couple of my other spots, Kelly Sheffield, he's an honorable mention for me. Just a maestro volleyball coach, national champion 2021. I believe he has 8 Final Fours. Just a machine, an absolute machine. Recruits, does it the right way, and his players just love him. I mean, this guy is just presided over a incredibly talented group of women year in and year out. And they made the Elite Eight last year. This past couple weeks ago, didn't quite have the team this year, but it was a very good squad. Sarah Franklin, always in there for National Player of the Year type. Many other people, and they're going to be great next year too. The guy recruits at a high level. He's one of the elite recruiters in college volleyball, and that's something you don't see in either football or basketball in Wisconsin. So, just great stuff, incredible stuff from Kelly Sheffield, and in a different context, different school, different time, he would have been on that mount himself. Peter Teagan, also not on the mount, but in honorable mentions. Wisconsin women's cross country coach in the 80s, legend in the national running community, back-to-back national titles, 84 and 85. Again, and you're sensing, with the exception of Bo Ryan, who was very close, this is and Barry Alvarez for other reasons. These other coaches in these honorable mentions are very national title intensive, and very tough to win in that sport, and to do it in Wisconsin, and he did it. So Peter Teagan, another exceptional job for the Wisconsin Badgers. I could go on. I have so many more that I could add. I'm going to leave it at that. I had in the comments on Bucky's Fifth Quarter, people suggesting I was trying to diss Brett Bielema for not having him, in at least an honorable mention. You can make the argument he doesn't do it for me. Sorry, not there. Can't be 2-4 in bowl games and ditch your team to go to Arkansas if you want to be on that level, buddy. But let's see what your comments are. I really appreciate it. I think that there are all kinds of fantastic coaches, maybe even including Greg Gard, that belong in the conversation to be at least an honorable mention. Ed Nuttycombe, another cross-country track guy, he has an argument too. It's just so many of them out there that have done incredible work. Some other football coaches, I'm sure, out there too. Ivy Williamson, he was in my article as an honorable mention. He's doing the stuff, though, in the early 1900s. Not to diss those folks. None of them are alive to defend their honor. But those are the years that Minnesota's winning national titles and claiming that they're a dominant football program because of those things. So it's that distance in time keeps you off the mountain. Anyway, have fun with this. Scary Alvarez out.